This program and its contents are designed for information and educational purposes only. This program does not render medical advice or professional services and is not intended to be a substitute for professional care. The information provided here should not be used for the purposes of diagnosing or treating a medical or psychiatric condition. If you have or suspect you may have a health problem, consult your healthcare provider.
Hi, welcome back to Positive Momentum TV. I'm Diane Silva, and today we have Eric Bernstein, got it right?
There you go.
And he's our one of our robo cameramen as well as our floor director. And I have Nina Wilson, owner of One Life Holistic Health, and we're going to discuss clean eating, which we talked about recently on a different show, and decided to bring Eric on as well as Nina, and we're going to kind of see if we can get this. Make this make more sense. Because I know for me, I get a little confused, and we talk about cleanness or clean eating or different diets or whatever, and I know the diet industry is multi-billion dollars, and to some degree we have control and maybe find a way to make it less costly on us and maybe a little more efficient and easy to do. So I'm going to have Nina and Eric join me in this conversation. And let's have some fun and talk about food and how to, with Eric and I, we're on this health challenge, and we're trying to reduce ourselves by percentages is all we're going to say. Sure. And so we're going to talk about this with Nina. She also does Ayurvedic isogenics. And then let's just chat about it. Who wants to take it?
You're the hostess.
I already took it. So.
You took it. Well, I do believe that we in America and probably Europe are challenged from literally the moment that we're conscious of the world around us, about messages about food that you should eat that's going to bring you happiness, that's going to bring you joy, when you watch children's cartoons in the morning. So there is an industry that is in the business of programming you for their products. Mm-hmm. When I was in college and I studied radio and television, and they would talk in the advertising world how many deaths you would see if you watch television over your 18 years of being a minor, and it was tens of thousands, if not more. Well, there's also numbers for how many times you see certain types of commercials.
Okay.
And then, of course, as an adult, you drive around. You cannot drive on any highway in America and not see big signs that tell you what to eat. So a lot of times, and I'm saying this all as a preface, as a heavy person, that people go, well, why don't you have willpower? Why don't you have self-control? And I'm saying you're right, I should be better at it, but the truth of the matter is I am bombarded every waking moment of every waking day of my life. And you got to fight all that. And then when you get to that point where you have a handle on it and you want to make these better choices, and you research, researching, especially now in the age of the internet, and unfortunately I'm old enough where there was a time before the internet you actually had to go to libraries and get books, but even that could be confusing, because if you read medical journals, you can't really understand in the language that they write, because it's meant for peer-to-peer writing. So people say, yeah, it's out there in the studies, but they don't have the dummies version or the easy version. And now there's even more, because basically anyone can say what they want to say on the internet. They can put great, web design to make you think it's a professional site. But it's all advertising supported, if even by the clicks of views. So sometimes people just tell you what you want. And even with all that information, it's hard. For me, aspartame was one of my first awakenings, maybe 20 years ago. Yeah, and when you read the history of this chemical that at one point might have been used for rat poison, and then you find out, well, they couldn't get it approved by the FDA, So somehow Donald Rumsfeld, before he became part of the Bush administration in an earlier life, they appointed him during the Reagan administration to be the director of the FDA, and somehow miraculously within 2 years it was approved, and now like 30 years later there's probably 10,000 products now that have aspartame in it. You know, how did it kill rats? Well, it keyed up the nervous system. So basically they would say, like, if you had these pests in your basement, you turn on the lights, they die of a heart attack because their nervous system was so keyed up. Now, those percentages of what they had of the
ding,
drug.
Ding, ding.
Yeah, so that's like one thing. So I became aware of that.
Wow.
And now there are studies that say, you know, it's funny, the more that we've been drinking diet soda, somehow the fatter we've been getting, and the incidence of diabetes is so much higher.
Yeah.
Of course, sometimes in diabetes it goes by, you know, like a certain blood level. And, you know, of course, they can change the number, and then all of a sudden overnight there's 40 million more people who are diabetic just by changing the threshold of what you call
Yes.
a diabetic.
Yeah, I'm quite aware of that. I went to the doctor and I'm now pre-diabetic by 1 point.
Point.
1 point. Seriously, I mean, yes, I know I need to work on my numbers, you know, cholesterol down, sugar down, you know, I'm a sugar addict. But again, like you're saying, you know, it's basically all these advertisers are pushing, you know, pushing this or pushing that. And sometimes when you're hungry, it's hard to say no. And it's so easy to just walk in and say, give me a candy bar because I don't have time to make X, or, you know, a nice healthy meal. And honestly, who's going to go into the store? Oh, give me a head of cauliflower. I'm really hungry. I just need to satisfy.
Well, you can, but then you end up putting cheese dip on top of it.
You know,
I mean,
or ranch.
Or ranch.
Stuff is nasty. But.
Yeah, you know, so it's just so easy and it's convenient. And we talked about this when, you know, with your show, is, you know, we're so busy all the time and we're running and running and running and running. It's just, it's so hard to step back and go, okay, wait a minute, this is worth this. My life is worth this if I want to add time or add quality. And if you're talking this aspartame, where to me, I'm going, okay, this explains some of people's anxieties, because if you're sitting there going, okay, the food, we talked about the food we eat helps how we feel about it. Not only that, you know, the withdrawal of the food causes us discomfort and symptoms of withdrawal. You know, we can go through our own form of, so it makes it really difficult to stick to a clean diet, or, and I hate using that word diet because it's a lifestyle. But, you know, for me, I know every time I try to back off the sugar, I mean, I'm a bear, you know, and then I feel the swimmy head, you know, and just the physical symptoms. So
you
it makes
get through that, though. It's just withdrawal.
Right, I know, but we don't look at it as just withdrawal because we are a society, okay, take a pill, I feel better, do this, I feel better. And it's really easy to go over and grab that piece of candy bar, so now I gotta start all over again. It's kind of like when I quit smoking. You just gotta do it, and okay, yeah, I used the patch, which helped, you know, kind of ease some of the symptoms, but there was still that, I mean, I walk up to somebody who's smoking right now going, oh, thank you, and I can walk away. But, you know, it's the same thing for, you know, like the withdrawal of sugar or, you know, other.
So now people don't even smoke cigarettes. They have these little vapors.
Yeah, and
it's a whole industry. And again, they don't even really know what direct, you know, nicotine ingestion will cause later.
Well, and it's
on
not
in life.
regulated right now, so, you know, they're going, oh, let's do a Mountain Dew one, let's do a, you know, so they're marketing to kids, and we don't know how much nicotine is in there and how addictive, you know, anyway, it's all, so I went off on a tangent, apologize.
But I think you guys brought up 3 really good points when I was listening to you talking. You know, one, the research is just as confusing as anything else, because you're right, you go on the internet and you don't know what's legit, what's not. And we're trying to become a healthier society, so it's just bombarding everyone with all of this information. So really, it is difficult. And though I do look at the journals because I have access to that, not everybody does, and so it is difficult. And then the first thing that you said that really made me think about something was, you know, watching these commercials, and I was thinking about little kids and birthday cakes. You know, we have birthday cakes every year for our birthday, and we get this big, and so then you have this emotional attachment to that. And if we would just eat to live as opposed to eat to feel, or eat our feelings.
Right.
If we could cut that emotional tie to food, life would be so much better, so much easier. But it's very, very difficult to do that.
It's hard. You're right. It is, because one of the things is the emotion that we get and that feeling we get for the food, that we get from the food, isn't supported in a normal conversation or, in your friend's situation. Oh my God, we don't want to go there. We don't want to, oh my God, you're such a drama queen, or whatever. Instead of just being there for that person and letting them feel what they need to feel.
Right.
And we're both in the school to be counselors, we kind of understand this more than the average person would. But if we were allowing ourselves to feel what we need to feel,
Right.
feeling what we're feeling, not even what we need to feel, but I'm feeling kind of sad, and putting, all right, yeah, this sucks, but I'm feeling it. Instead of stuffing it, like you said, eating our feelings.
But not to be contraire, but but aren't feelings ultimately based in chemical reactions within body chemistry?
Right.
And can't they be controlled and manipulated? Or are they coming from the psyche, or are they coming from chemistry?
And I agree. We don't know, but the point I was trying to make is, as a society, as I know from my experiences in the world,
Sure.
and let's just leave it at that. That you're feeling something. Let's say you're mourning the loss of a parent or a friend or whatever. Oh, just get to work and forget about it. Or if you're feeling it, let's go talk to somebody. No, I just want to feel this for a minute. Let me just feel it. And they don't allow that. Or they're going, oh well, everybody's going through something. Okay, at least validate what you're feeling.
Or the stereotypical male world. Buck up.
Yes, but it's not just the men that they're doing this to. They're just doing it. I've got a grandson who, it's like, well, boys don't cry. Yeah, boys feel what they feel the same way girls feel what they feel. And we have to honor that. Otherwise, we're stuffing it, and we become emotionally stunted. Just to search for the best word, and we find other ways to validate those feelings. And for me, I use food. They talk about comfort food.
Well, and I do it to myself. If I feel sad, I know that if I eat Oreos, they taste good. And that sugar high is going to go to my brain, and it's going to make me feel happy momentarily, because that's what the chemicals in the Oreo do to you.
But just to give you another example, though, whereas that is a comfort food because you're feeling a certain way.
Right.
I've had jobs where I've had to keep awake.
Oh, yes.
And I would maybe buy something like Skittles, which are basically little teeny sugar pills. And then you could dole them out one at a time over 20, 30 minutes to keep it, you can use chemistry as a tool.
Well, and we did that with trips too. When we, you go on a trip, you grab a thing of, Skittles or licorice or whatever, and all of a sudden, hand me this, and then, it keeps you awake from it, and then suddenly you're going, okay, okay, give me another one or whatever. So it's kind of like feeding upon itself to make you, and it gets out of control if we're not paying attention, and because of the fact we're so busy, or we're so, don't do this or don't do that, we don't pay attention because we're told not to.
Right.
Just ignore that feeling, or just ignore this, so I think what we're doing here and across the nation as well as across the world is trying to get people more aware of, be self-aware.
Right.
Sure.
Well, then we're so bombarded with stimulus, from social media or, our phones, or just everything being so available all the time. And so we have this, we're stimulated all the time. And so then we do reach for things like caffeine or sugar or whatever else to stimulate our bodies from the inside, because we're just feeding off that. We need that. So it's hard. Even now, I haven't been meditating for quite a while because I've been focused on my business and other things. And so I'm trying to get back to it, and I'm realizing, I have to start with guided meditation because I can't just sit quietly. I need stimulus. I'm just so used to it. So we're doing that.
It's such a hard thing to experience, but wonderful when you can actually quiet your brain.
Yes, absolutely.
The thing that worked best for me, and it was a long time ago, and they don't really exist that much, but there was a craze in the early 80s with what they call isolation tanks. And it was spurred by a movie called Altered States, But an isolation tank is basically a tank with a saline solution, and you float in it, and it's pitch black. And basically what happens is all of the input to your senses disappears, because it's at a temperature where you don't feel warm or cold.
Ooh.
You're floating, you don't hear anything, you don't see anything. Other than if you drift into the sides of the tank, you don't feel anything. And basically, you're left talking to yourself. And they usually just recommend only doing it an hour.
Right.
And a lot of people, when they do it, if they're not familiar, will panic. They have never been with their thoughts without any outside stimulation. The benefit of it was when you leave it, and all of a sudden stimulus comes in, you are much better at hearing and seeing. I mean, it may only last for a day or two, and so that would cause you to become an isolation tank regular, where you might go 2 or 3 times a week. When I lived in Manhattan, they used to pitch it as a vacation in the middle of the workday, just go in for an hour and all that. But again, maybe a different show, but I believe we are our senses.
Oh, yes,
That everyone thinks that the world is out there, but out there is really interpreted by what you see, hear, touch, and taste, and then processed in your brain, and your brain has been programmed by the conditioning of either your parents or television or whatever. They coined the expression the holographic mind, that you have a 3-dimensional model of what you think is out there, but it really only exists in here. And so whoever or whatever controls the information that comes into you kind of controls what goes on inside you.
I completely agree. I'm a firm believer in it used to be seeing is believing. No, I'm a believer in the other way around. Believing is seeing. So if I believe this exists, it will exist. And if it, kind of like the law of attraction and other things.
yeah.
The secret.
The secret. Yeah, well, that's the law of attraction. Yeah, but and you had both of you had really good points. When you're talking about, we're so conditioned to be busy, and we're so conditioned to be doing, that sitting still and being quiet. And you had a really good resolution to this, is doing a walking meditation or a running meditation where you're just alone with yourself. And if you have to be like where I have to be busy or doing something to be productive.
Right.
So okay, I can take the dog for a walk and still be in a meditative state, or at least concentration, or in whatever, or just trying to be in the moment. And it's so hard to be in the moment because we're so forward focused.
Right.
What am I going to do later? What am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do? Well, what am I doing right now? I'm worried about tomorrow. Right. So my sister, who used to be in AA, used to say, if I have 1 foot in yesterday and 1 foot in tomorrow, I'm peeing all over today.
Right. Should not do that. You should not do that.
No, so we're living for tomorrow, so we're not ever experiencing it. So that's where anxiety comes in.
Well, then
that's
tomorrow comes and you're still not, because you're constantly reaching for this something that's coming, but you're missing out on your entire life until you die.
Right,
really.
and that's
well,
what
they have whoever the they is, that most people are consumed by fear or guilt. And fear is of things that have yet to happen that may not happen, and guilt is of things that have passed that you could never change. Right. But if you are in that future or that past and not in the moment, then you're kind of blindly going along.
Right, and you're missing out on what you're here for to begin with. I'm so busy worrying about, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? Well, what am I doing right now? I'm worried about tomorrow. Let's kind of get in the moment and just enjoy the people I'm around. We're right now, we are in this moment.
Yes.
We are doing the one thing that we're trying to get other people to do, as well as ourselves, is be in this moment. We're not sitting here going, oh, well, what am I going to do for dinner and lunch? And, okay, what about my date? We're actually being...
And what's really terrible is when you multitask, and so you think you're in the moment, but a portion of your brain, or as you talked about social media, like I am going to look at my phone while I'm driving.
Oh, yes.
And I'm firmly convinced that it's not in any way hindering my performance of a 4,000 pound vehicle going 60 miles an hour. I can clearly have my eyes here and quickly adjust to
No.
Yeah,
distances
psych.
out there.
Now I'm dating
No.
myself. Psych. Remember that ain't happening. So no texting and driving. Put your phone down. It's not that important. And if it is, pull over. You know, I mean, and I'm just as guilty as the next guy, and I have to make myself. You know, I don't care if we have voice commands. It's still distracting. You know, it's just as distracting as reaching behind you and, you know, taking care of a kid. Pull over, because, you know, too many people are getting hurt, killed, and you know. We can go on. That's another show too. So we've got, you know, we're sitting there. Okay, we are going in the future a little bit.
Going into the future.
So talking about, okay, so let's kind of go back to this. We got off topic. Clean living. Okay,
Right.
so let's kind of define it a little bit. You know, and how people it can help us in our journey.
Sure.
And you and yours, because you know you're working on getting the inflammation down and working on your health issues as well. So health can be controlled or bettered by our diet. You know, we can't do a whole lot about our environment, you know, unless we move. It's like, okay, yeah, I want a clean environment. Where in the world can we go with it? It's not affected by pollution. Yeah, that, you know, that's a whole other
That's
animal.
not practical.
So for practical purposes, let's kind of focus back on the clean living. So you want to go for a minute, Nina, and kind of define?
Sure. Well, and you say clean living, and that really brought up another thing. That's another thing that I talk about on my health blog is really how can I take the chemicals out of my home and reduce them. Not, you're never going to take them out, obviously, but how can I reduce them? So I've worked on, you know, adding in some plants and taking out certain cleaning products and using essential oils and do those types of things. And then again, going back to the clean eating, trying to do that, which is difficult. So then I kind of talk about how to do that effectively, so it's financially easy for you to do, and then how to, oh man, buy a crock pot. That has been my lifesaver. It cooks all day. You can make a giant meal, then you have things to freeze for later. And so then you do have like those moments when you need convenience foods. It's in your freezer and you've made it, as opposed to going through McDonald's or something like that. So
That's a really good point. It is, you know, and one of the things by the time, you know, we got holidays, we got birthdays. You talked about birthday cake, you know, and you know, okay, we have to do that, you know, and it is an emotional response to this holiday. I've got a daughter's birthday's Monday, and she's going, okay, I want a cake, and I'm kind of, you know, that's a great, but at the same time, your point was she associates birthday with cake instead of let's go have the family get, you know, and it's not her, it's everybody, you know, that does this
And
tradition.
the challenge, of course, is if you went to a sympathetic baker, you would be spending $50 to $75 for a healthy cake, as opposed to going to a regular supermarket where it might only be $20. And you kind of got to make your choices that way also.
absolutely.
When you were reading up about cleaning products, I had also read that clothing made of synthetic stuff also can leach into your body.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah, your body washes, everything. Because I have this health issue, started making all of my own body care products, which I've now started selling some. And then also making my own cleaning products. And the other day I wrote a blog about 5 things that I keep in my home that I use that come from my pantry, that I use also in my cleaning cupboard and in my bathroom. So there's 5 things that, I mean, and they're relatively cheap, you know, so.
So you're either going to tell us the 5 things or tell us where the blog is, right?
Well, the blog's on my website.
You can go ahead and give your website, and we'll go ahead and we'll
It's
put it up.
www.onelifeholistichealth.com, but I will tell you the 5 things. I use coconut oil in most everything. I use thieves oil.
Thieves oil?
Thieves oil. It's an essential oil, but I also, I don't ingest that one, so I will say that it's in my pantry, but I don't ingest that one. But it can be good for certain colds and things. I just prefer to use a different one that tastes better. And then I use baking soda. I use baking soda on everything. Salt.
Okay.
Now, obviously, I use Epsom salt in the bathroom and in my cleaning products, but I also use regular sea salt, but salt, and then water and vinegar.
There you go.
Wow. And just to point out real quick, if we don't buy into the fact that our clothes leach into our body, go buy yourself a brand new pair of jeans and rub your hands on them.
Oh, these were doing that earlier. My hands were blue.
And they turn blue.
Yeah.
So yes, if it's going to touch your skin, and whatever, it's going to, and I had a pair of jeans on yesterday that I've washed 3 times and they're still doing that. So yes, it does, we're not really blowing smoke or,
And
whatever.
it's a lot, but just be conscious of what you're doing.
Sure.
Right.
Obviously, these ones make my hands blue. I don't buy all organic clothing. I can't afford it. I
Right.
can't afford it. I just can't. But, you do other things to try to keep yourself as healthy as possible. And I know what I'm getting myself into, I guess.
Right, and the point is being financially responsible and whatever works for you. And that's what this whole thing is about. We could sit there and tout this or that and the other thing, and nobody's telling you to buy this or buy that. And, we're big proponents on doing
Buy
what
less,
works for
recycle.
you. Yeah, buy less and recycle,
Don't encourage them to keep on making more crap.
Right,
No, I agree, though. Recycling is
reuse, what do they say? Recycle, reuse, and something else.
repurpose.
Repurpose.
I like that one.
Actually, my grandkids and I found a project on Facebook that we're going to reuse toilet paper rolls during the holiday. The Halloween thing. We're going to
The cardboard center.
the cardboard
Yeah.
center. We're going to take and cut the lye balls out. We're putting little glow sticks in there. If you have any ideas on how to make organic glow sticks, I would love it.
Oh, I do have 2 or 3 recipes.
Perfect, because I
Yes.
would
For
love to.
organic glow sticks.
Well, yeah,
At
there
least
are
they're
certain
not
things that you can
toxic.
put
Okay.
together that have a chemical reaction that are better than the stuff that are in the glow sticks.
Yeah. So because then what they do is they take these little tissue things and they put them in somewhere, and they love scaring the other kids. Oh look, there's eyes. So, and I apologize. We need to wrap up. This went well and fast. We're going to have to do another show with both of you if you're great for that.
Sure.
We can do this again. And
I'll
thank you
bring
again.
notes the next time.
Yeah, well, we can talk. We've got so many topics to cover. This is just fabulous. Thank you for watching Positive Momentum TV. I'm Diane Silva, Eric Bernstein, and Nina Wilson, and we thank you very much for. And if you have any questions or comments or would like to send in suggestions for topics, please feel free. Contact us at inquiry@positivemomentum.net. Also, after KPAO airs, we will be on YouTube, and that's positivemomentumtv@gmail.com. So, or, I don't know how else to do this. I'm still green with all of this, so I apologize.
Green with media.
Green with media. Yeah, I'm still learning. As they tell me, I'm the talent. I don't have to do anything. I'm not really that talented, so please.
So you have to do more.
I have to do more, so I'm learning how to edit and do all this fun stuff. So, and thank you very much, and I hope this show was educational as well as entertaining, and look forward to you on the next show. Thank you.